As I was drifting through space, an angel told me I could rely on her grace. To hold me, I could rely on this place till I found home.
Hi, and welcome to LA Dolce Vita, a talk show about Hollywood journeys from couch surfing to the Hollywood Walk of Fame and everything in between. My name is Liliana, and I'm your hostess and tour guide through these journeys and the mama of this talk show. And today we will start with the first journey of LA Dolce Vita with an artist that I literally met on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Precisely, I saw them performing for the first time last Sunday in the touring musical Chicago at the iconic Pantages Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. So, please help me welcome to LA Dolce Vita actor, dancer, singer, and choreographer Kailin Brown. Welcome, Kailin.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, welcome to LA Dolce Vita. Welcome to Hollywood. Is this your first time in Hollywood, in Los Angeles?
Yes, it is. I've never been here before.
Wow. They are from Burlington, Ontario,
Yes.
and they're currently living in Brooklyn, New York.
Yep.
How's Hollywood for a young artist? How's your first time in Hollywood?
Oh, it's great. I absolutely love it. And it's so different from New York in terms of the culture of theater and film and TV in New York versus theater, film, and TV in Hollywood. So it's really cool being here and getting to experience those differences. But I'm really happy about the warm weather, I will say.
Warm weather for sure. And I was there in the theater, and I don't consider Los Angeles a theater town. It's not New York.
Yeah.
Yet, during that performance, I felt like it was a theater town because the performance was incredible and the audience responded so well, and it was a mixed audience. I felt it was like LA locals and a lot of tourists as well.
Right.
But you really convinced everybody, like experts or not. So how's your experience of these differences between New York and Los Angeles? Because again, from my perspective, you took the theater down. What are your perceptions?
Well, in total, I think that our whole time that we've been here in Hollywood, we've had really great audiences. The reactions have been better than we were expecting. We were thinking it was going to be a little bit more like New York audiences where there's higher judgment because it's such a town for performers and artists that you're getting a lot of performers and artists coming to see the show as well. And so it's a little scary because you're like, I'm performing in front of people that I also work alongside, people who are also trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, and colleagues, and know like what it takes to be a good performer and know what good theater looks like. But our audiences here have been pretty spectacular and it's really, really great energy. So that just keeps like fueling us to put on better shows each day.
Yes, and the audience is spectacular because you guys are spectacular.
Thank
Like,
you.
There's everyone in this touring production is incredible. And I have to say, amongst them all, and my friend Erica was there with me, she agreed. I mean, everyone is incredible. I would have everyone on this talk show, but the reason I reached out to you is because I had the impression that you really stood up. I have to say, I wanted to fall asleep. That was my plan, of Chicago. The reason why I went to see the musical is that I recently started Jazz Dance, okay?
Cool,
So I wanted to check out all that jazz, and I wanted to go with my friend Erica. We usually go to the Hollywood Bowl, to theater, and I thought, yes, why not? Let's go to Chicago.
Yes.
I have to admit, I got cheap tickets, so I was up there, and yes.
Pantages is expensive. So.
Yes, I got cheap tickets, and I planned to fall asleep because I just cared about the dinner before. But then you came on stage, and I was like... magnet. I couldn't. I woke up. You were just incredible. So I would like to talk about this character you play in Chicago, Velma Kelly, the protagonist. For how long?
Yeah, so we're here until we finish our shows on Sunday, and then we have a week off, and then when we come back at the beginning of April, we have another 6 weeks. So we've been on the road since November, and then we finish May 19th as our official last show.
And in April, you'll come back to Los Angeles or somewhere?
No, we're actually going to Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah, so at the end of this week, we'll be done in LA, unfortunately, but then we'll be moving on to the next leg of our tour.
Well, I'm so happy I caught you here. So let's talk about your character.
Yeah.
One of the two protagonists, Velma Kelly. We can give maybe a bit of a background of the story of Chicago, and in particular of Velma. Then we'll get into Velma better for the ones who are not familiar with the theater that Kailin Brown.
Yes,
right?
in the movie, yeah. So, the basic story of Chicago is about Velma Kelly and Roxy Hart, and Velma is this vaudevillian star who's really popular, really famous, always on the front page, and catches her sister and her husband cheating and kills both of them, even though she'll never admit to it. And Roxy kills the man that she was cheating on her husband with, and they end up at the Cook County Correctional Facility for Women, and it's basically an entire story about how the press really affects everything that we do, and that both Roxy and Velma, where Roxy comes from this lower class, unable to make it as a star background, and Velma's already this huge star, they have to find a way to kind of work together and set aside their differences and their dislike for each other in order to get out of prison and also become those vaudevillian stars again. Because in the town of Chicago, it's all about the press and how they view things, and if you're not in the good eyes of the press, then you're not going to be famous anymore. And so it's really that kind of story about how everyone's fighting so hard for a chance to be seen and for a chance at fame and stardom. And one of the ways to do that is murder, I guess. But yeah, Velma herself is a very confident and very well-kept woman, and she's so calculated about everything. She has a plan for everything. She does everything precisely and to the T. She doesn't make any mistakes. And Roxy's the complete opposite of that, and she's scrappier and younger, but doesn't have as much of that experience that Velma has. So Velma kind of has that status within the jail, but also within the show of being this...
the superstar.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And yet I feel like they both have a background of pain, because Roxy kills this man because he rejected her.
Mm-hmm.
So she couldn't take it. She couldn't take the rejection, and she also sings it in a song. This is a world full of no, I think I heard in one of her songs.
Yes,
because
Roxy,
she cannot take the fact that, as you said, coming from a lower background, she couldn't make it as a star. It's a world full of no. And when I felt that man, it was one no too many.
Yeah.
And she went for it. And she doesn't even regret it. She doesn't seem regretful. Which kept me awake.
Yes.
Okay. And then Velma is super confident, but I feel she must have had some pain as well, because if she was so calculated, she wouldn't have killed her husband and the sister and jeopardized what she cares the most about in her life. Fame and fortune. Yes. So she must have lost it there somewhere, and that's her vulnerability.
It is.
Because they were not worthy her career. They were already hurting her by cheating, and why do you even kill them and then you are in jail, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You see that with Velma a few times in the show. That I've worked a lot on that with with the creatives that work on the show with us and the directors and
yes. How was the process? How was the creative process? Yes, I'm very interested in that.
So I graduated this past May, and thanks.
Instagram, that was iconic.
Thank you. I had to leave an impression.
Oh, you did.
But yeah, so I got an agent from graduation from our senior showcase that we do in New York every year, which was awesome. I'm with the Clear Talent Group in New York, and they're absolutely phenomenal. And they started sending me on these auditions, and for Chicago, it's always been a dream show of mine. I've always wanted to be in the show, and Velma's always been a dream role as well. But when I was sent in for the audition, it was for the ensemble initially. So I did the self-tapes and sent those in, and then I was asked to come in, and there were about 50 people in the same group as me, and they cut that down. We did a few dance combinations, and they cut it down. And then by the end of the day, there were only about 12 or so of us left. And they asked a few of us to come back the next day with some material for the lead roles. And that was so that they could see who they wanted to understudy the lead roles. And they gave me Roxy, Velma, and Mama Morton.
Whoa.
So I went home and I spent the entire day studying all of those lines and the songs. I had to learn all of it to come in for the next day to do it in front of the creative team and for the casting directors. And when I went in, I would do all of that, and we did the dance combinations again, and it was a whole week basically where we were just in every single day.
Wow.
From in the morning until later afternoon.
Full-time job.
Yeah, just doing the audition. And
just the 12 of you at this point, or
no, so
starting from 60 to 12.
It was like a group of who they were looking at for the female ensemble, and then a group of who they were looking at for the male ensemble. And so we would both kind of come in at different points, and then the last day they had us all together, and they filmed all the auditions for any of the creative and casting team that wasn't able to be there, and asked me to go buy hair gel and red lipstick on the lunch break so that I could slick my hair back and put the lipstick on, and they wanted to see what it would look like if I were coming in as Velma. And keep in mind at this point, I'm still only being seen for the understudies for these roles.
Wow.
And so we did all the auditions, and a few weeks went by. I didn't really hear anything, and I went to other auditions. And then towards the end of that summer, I got the call from my agent that they wanted me to be in the ensemble. And I was like, this is amazing. And I got my contract, and I was also understudy TBD, so they weren't sure which
understudy. Okay.
Not sure which which role I was going to be understudying.
Okay, so maybe Velma, maybe Roxy, maybe Big Mama.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
that shows how eclectic they are.
Oh yeah. And then I had already signed the contract, so I was ready to go and do the whole thing and start rehearsals. And then 2 weeks before our rehearsal started is when I got the call saying that they actually wanted me to be playing Velma instead. And I just
paced. And that changed my life.
Oh my God. It changed mine too. I was just pacing around my apartment sobbing for hours.
You couldn't believe it.
I really couldn't. I had never seen a Velma that was as young as I was. And that's because Velma is such a complex role that it's on Broadway. It's always played by these absolutely phenomenal women who are just
they have life experience,
yes,
stage experience and life experience.
Yes, exactly.
Because she's a superstar, Velma, and she has a marriage and a sister, and she has a murder and complexity.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first Velma I saw on Broadway was Amra Faye Wright, and she's still doing Velma and still high kicking and jump splitting every single night. And I'm like, I'm not sure exactly what her age is, but she's not 22. And it hurts me to do it every single night.
And she kicks it. So you get this from. Have you ever found out why they decided to take a chance on you, on such a young performer? I mean, I saw you and I know why, but who saw? I'm sure there were a lot of talented artists.
I'm not really sure how they came to that decision. I mean, the casting directors, it's ARC, and Duncan is that I've ended up developing a good relationship with him, and he was just so enthralled with me throughout the audition process, which made me feel very confident in what I was doing, and I was able to go into the audition room. Even though I wasn't going in for Velma, I was able to walk in
at your best.
Yes, feeling the
like
confidence,
ready. I want to perform. I'm happy to perform. I'm not like
right. Yeah. And everyone who was part of the creative and casting process for the show, they were all just so uplifting. It felt like such an
encouraging.
It felt like we were already cast in a way. Like when we were auditioning, it felt like we were in that room and they were working with us on the material. It didn't feel like
we have to see if you're good enough.
Exactly,
not.
Yeah. So I don't really know how they came to that decision, but
they probably saw your star quality that I saw as well. That's probably the answer, but I would still be curious if you because it took them a while, it seems like, because first, you come in as an ensemble, and then I would be curious to know what happened from the contract as an ensemble to that phone call when it's like, well, we made up our minds.
Right.
You are going to be Velma Kelly. Let's sign a new contract.
Right,
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so you were sobbing in your apartment. Oh my god.
FaceTimed my girlfriend right away.
Yeah, she couldn't believe it.
She was screaming on the side of the room.
Is your girlfriend an artist as well?
Yes, she is. Okay. She's also actually at Pace University right now.
Okay. So she could understand you better than anyone else on this one.
Yeah.
And then you start your rehearsing.
Yes.
So how was the rehearsal process? We were talking earlier, you had to work on yourself, on the complexity of them, besides of the vocals and the choreography that you perform excellently.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, walking into the rehearsals was really scary because I was one of the youngest people in the room, and I only knew one person going into it, so... Jay, who plays our Mary Sunshine, we went to Pace together.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that was nice to at least have a friend, somebody that I could at least have to keep me keep me company and make sure I don't go crazy or have a mental breakdown after. But yeah, rehearsals were honestly great. I was nervous at first, but once we got into it and I started talking to more people and developing relationships with people in the show, it was easier to settle into it. And it took us 2 weeks to learn the show from top to bottom. And we only had 3 weeks for rehearsal. And then the last week of rehearsal, we just ran through the show every single day that week until we started getting more comfortable in it. And we were working mainly with the three heads of our creative team, which is David Hislop, who's our director, and then Gregory Butler is our choreographer. And then Bob is the music god, is what I call him.
The music god. Yes. Yeah, music, of course. As I said, the production is impeccable. Right. There are music gods.
He's the music supervisor for all Chicago's, and then Cameron is our conductor, who's also our music director. And he travels with us.
And he's also an actor because he participates in a few scenes, right?
I mean, I definitely consider him an actor. I think he's a great actor.
He interacted with you. Actors pretty well. He was part of the actors. That's how I perceived it in the audience. And so, what were your notes about Velma from the director?
Oh my gosh, I got a notebook full of them.
I bet.
I'm still going through the notes today, going back to things that all of our creative team has told me, just to kind of keep it fresh. But a lot of what I've learned with Velma is that she's not angry, and I used to play her in a more angry, kind of aggressive way because she is so boisterous and has that vaudeville flair, and she's mean. We all know she's mean.
I mean, she's in jail. She killed her husband, her sister. She's in jail, and the younger Roxy is taking her place in the press. And she might actually go to death row, that character, no guilty, no guilty. She gets hanged.
Right.
So she has a lot of issues to deal with.
Exactly, but she's also so sure of herself that she knows that's not going to happen. Or she keeps herself so composed that she and she knows the press. Like, she's always in the limelight. She's always on the front page. So she knows that they're not going to do that to her because she has this kind of fame and fortune already behind her name. But it was just really about learning how to not turn her into angry when she doesn't get what she wants, and how to, she's just like, she's always thinking about what's next. What can I do next? What's going to get Roxy to do this sister act with me? Or how am I going to portray myself on the stand so I don't like get put away in prison for longer or get hanged? Like, she just has such a calculated mind, and it's hard with Velma because she only has 4 scenes. I only get to do 4 scenes in the show. The rest of my numbers are all songs and dances. So it's hard to kind of dive into the character of Velma when there's so little material for the audience to get to know her. Like, you hear Roxy's monologue. You have the whole backstory of like how she's gotten to this point, and you see her vulnerability. With Velma, I have to find those moments to make her more likable, and also show her vulnerabilities on top of that. So,
well, I felt that when she begs Roxy, and that's right there a big moment of vulnerability. I suffered for her because I can tell that Velma, maybe also from the presence you have, is the stronger one, and she's begging the young girl to perform with her. That was painful.
Right. Yeah.
But you think that also in that moment that she knows things will work out for her.
Exactly. Yeah. She just has it all down. She knows that everything's going to be fine at the end of the day, but she also knows that in order to, after she gets released from prison, to become famous again, she needs that sister act. She needs someone else to do the show with her, or else nobody's going to care anymore. It was all about Velma and Veronica, the two of them together. And so now that Veronica's out of the picture, that's the opportunity to go in and coax Roxy to be a part of her little sister act and
team.
Yes.
So your Velma is all about confidence and faith at this point, because it takes more than confidence when you are in jail.
Right.
It's faith. So confidence and faith and finding the right teammates.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you play. And so that she doesn't take the challenges as an opportunity to get into sadness and rage.
Yeah.
Because that's the note you got. Don't play her angry.
Yeah. There's the moments where she's allowed to release, but it's very few moments, because if she has those bursts of anger, then she loses all of her power.
Yes.
And so when she does,
like in real life.
Yeah. And
like in real life, when we get angry, we lose our power.
Exactly. And immediately after she has that fit of anger, she has to collect herself again and be like, I know what I have to do.
Okay, that's probably where your complexity comes from, because rage is very monothematic.
Right.
So underneath you have these layers. To me, she didn't look anger, although I could tell she's someone you better not cross.
Exactly.
Because it's not going to end up well.
Yeah.
That I can tell she's on the verge to lose it. She can lose it. I mean, besides the fact that she murdered someone, but that's, anyone, we can all, there's something else there. It's like in general, even before she murdered, don't cross her, but she's super likable the way you portrayed her, and even vulnerable. I felt the begging right there, and I sweated for her. And on this regard, I have to tell you that I left the performance, right? I went home to sleep and I had a dream, and I know when I woke up that it was because of your performance and your Velma, like the way she affected me, Velma. So I dreamt that I was a backup dancer for Madonna.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But I lost my slippers. And you wouldn't even wear ballet slippers for Madonna, but that's a dream. So I lost my slipper and I got there were a lot of dancers, lots of competition, and I felt like, oh my God, I cannot go on stage without the slippers. So I put this jacket on and my legs were naked. So I think I had maybe a leotard or something, but I could feel like being vulnerable, like I'm naked. Looking for my slippers, I ran out from this place that was not glamorous, although I was a backup dancer for Madonna. It was not glamorous, it was like industrial, heavy, gray. I start running, looking for help, but I don't even know from who really, because I couldn't imagine. And as I walk out and I start running naked, I see a guy I've liked forever. He's a singer, a Hollywood singer. He was there, of course. Yes. So he could even see me like running naked, desperate. And he looked at me like even like despising me more than he probably already despised me. and then I woke up. And I woke up, but strangely, I was in a great mood.
Yeah.
So I didn't wake up. I mean, I woke up, was like, I know what this dream means. I always like to analyze dreams.
Same, yeah.
It's probably telling me, probably watching you, like I felt like this is an artist. I was so struck, like this is an artist that has it all, the dancing, the singing, the incredible acting. They are gonna be a superstar, although I didn't know you were there yet. I thought she's gonna be a superstar because you saw me femininity of Velma. She's gonna be a superstar. Totally. And that's the way you become a star. Who are you, like? And what did you do with your life? What did you do with your artistry? Right. You are a little sad person in Hollywood and in the world, because that was the effect of watching you. But at the same time, I was also still overwhelmed by this feeling you left me, this Velma Kelly feeling. And now I'm finding out why I was so overwhelmed and confident, because as you said, it's not about getting angry or getting, the way you play this Velma is a woman who does not get angry or doesn't let any difficulty to put her down, because she has her confidence and in the fact that no matter what, everything is going to work out. And she doesn't let anger have the best of her, or sadness, or being in jail have the best of her, or her husband cheating with her sister have the best of her. And that's probably why I felt like, okay, I'm comparing myself with this incredible artist. I feel like shit, Pip, but I also feel like so empowered. That's what your performance left in me. And I mean, through the night, like in my subconscious, because I dreamt about this thing and I knew when I woke up, it's that actress. And that's when I actually Googled you, and I Googled you, and I landed on your website, and the first picture, I see you, and I'm like, wait a second. It's not a woman, it's a man. My ideal woman is not a woman, it's a man. What's happening? So I was already a little bit confused, and now I'm like, now it's even not a woman, it's a man. I was tricked that the ideal woman is a man. And then I looked, and no, it's not even a man. It's a they, a she who transitioned into they. So I would like to hear a little bit from you what it is being they, because I feel like that my generation, we grew up as with she and he. Yeah, totally. And now we pretend we understand they, or sometimes we dismiss it as, oh, these young people. It's more complex than that. Absolutely. And I would like to hear from you. Who is they?
Yeah. Well, growing up, we would always use the term like tomboy, which I don't really.
Tomboy, sure.
Yeah, and it's not a term that I prefer to use, but there's not a whole lot else to describe like a young girl who's also like really into sports and dresses more like a boy and all that. And that was who I was, and so from such a young age, I kind of just realized that I wasn't like the rest of these girls that were trying to dress up for the boys and putting on makeup all the time. And I was doing that because I was doing dance competition, and I've always loved like putting on makeup and feeling glamorous. But when it's just like me and not me on stage, or me trying to present to other people like this glamorous person, I just started realizing that I wasn't a woman. I wasn't a girl, and I didn't really understand what that meant until I got to Pace and met other people who use they them pronouns and identify as non-binary, and I was like, oh, that's an option. Because I knew I wasn't a man. Even though my voice has been low since I was in the 5th grade. All the boys in my class, their voices dropped after mine did. So that was already, and then I found out from my doctors that I also have like an excess amount of testosterone. So there's just a lot of things that already biologically contributed to me feeling more confident as a masculine person. I have flat chest, I have a very like rectangular body. My just physiological makeup is more masculine too. So I started thinking, well, instead of trying to enhance the feminine features of myself that I don't really like, then I'm going to enhance the parts of myself that I do really like and happen to be more masculine. And so, yeah, I started kind of playing around with pronouns when I was in my sophomore year. My mom had passed in June of 2020.
I'm sorry about that.
And I like brain cancer. Sucks.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, thank you. I was young. I was 19 when it happened, and I have 2 younger sisters. So that's something that is honestly kind of catapulted me into my gender journey and my transition. And after she passed, I was also dating a man for over 3.5 years. And I was like, I need to figure out who I am. I have no idea who I am. And I thought I did, but after my mom died, I was like, everything's different now. My whole world has changed. So I started using she, they pronouns, and then started realizing I was favoring they more than she. And whenever people use they, them pronouns for me, it kind of gave me that warm, tingly feeling like, oh, that feels good. And so then I started using they, she, and people were still using she, her pronouns for me. And I was like, that's not what I want. And I realized that the they came first for me for a reason. It's because I didn't want to be referred to as a woman anymore. I only wanted to use they, them pronouns. And so I started officially using they, them pronouns, I would say towards the end or like middle of my second semester of my sophomore year. And it just felt so right. And my best friend cut my hair into a mullet, and I sobbed looking at myself in the mirror because I was just like, I haven't seen myself ever. I used to have hair down to my butt, pinned straight all the way down, and I just can't. Like, sometimes I think about that person I used to be, and I'm so grateful for all those experiences I had, but I didn't really see who I was until I started using they, them pronouns, and I cut my hair, and I started dressing more masculine. So
and she is still there when you need her, like for Velma Kelly.
Yeah. I mean,
so it's not about hating the part of yourself
as not at all.
A woman. It's just realizing that that's not only who you are, and you're more comfortable in another place.
Yeah, like being non-binary. Every person who identifies as non-binary and uses they, them pronouns, or any iteration of they pronouns, see being non-binary differently. So some people will see it as kind of an in-between of the masculine and feminine spectrum, and like being within that spectrum. And then some people will see themselves on the outside of the spectrum completely and not even regarding masculine and feminine, just kind of being outside of it. Yeah, for me, I say I lie kind of in that spectrum most often. Every once in a while I feel like I'm more outside of it. But it's kind of just, for me, it's not a 50-50. It's like some days I'll wake up and I'll want to put on a man's button down and men's pants and feel more masculine. Some days I want to go out in a little skirt, and like it doesn't have to mean that because I dress a certain way that determines what my gender is. It's just that being non-binary, I have the freedom to explore all facets of the gender spectrum. And that's what I love about being non-binary. I just get to express who I want to be on any given day.
And in this spectrum, everything is available to you as an artist. So
Absolutely.
You can go from girl to boy to non-binary character. You can do whatever in this spectrum, and you nail it. Because again, I was surprised when I saw your picture. I'm like, no, it's Velma Kelly. She was so feminine. I'm like, okay. And I became curious. So thank you for explaining this to me so well. And also, I love the idea of the spectrum. Some individuals are outside of the spectrum, some are in, more on one side or another, or in the middle.
Absolutely.
So that also explains, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, why some individuals decide to, for instance, to remove some certain parts of their body and some don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, again, like my physiological makeup is just exactly how I want to present. So I'm very happy with my body, but I know tons of people who get gender confirming surgery and want flatter chests, want bigger chests, like whatever it is. For me personally, it's just not something that I think is necessary for my gender journey, but I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing that people are able to do nowadays. And it's still not easy, but it's definitely easier than it used to be. And
yes, still not easy. And also on the body, it's probably not easy.
No, not at all.
Because I feel like sharing it. I went through a mastectomy because I had breast cancer, and it's something I wouldn't wish upon anyone. So when I hear some girls wanting to go through a mastectomy, I know there must be really something inside that calls for it, because you wouldn't go through something like that for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different for everyone. Like, just some people,
they really need to
they need to do it to know,
be themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
To be themselves.
100%.
Yeah, thank you for explaining, and I'm happy that you're great with your body. Because your body. By talking about your body, your dance class, I want to read a couple of reviews. Palm Beach Daily News. The leads have terrific voices and slaying their roles the way Brown's athletic lithe form slings across the stage in all that jazz, and throughout the show is a marvel to watch through. And another one, Broadway World, said Velma Kelly, Kailin Brown is a strong force not to be reckoned with, definitely. Brown's portrayal is powerful. They convincingly create a confident, brassy, outrageous woman and amaze the audience with their powerful vocals and beautiful dance lines. Absolutely. You do have the dancing, you do have the song. Speaking of, again, thank you for explaining this this side of you that helped me a lot, and I'm sure it's going to help people, and also the parents, because I know there are recovery group for parents whose children go through transitions, because it's traumatizing for them.
It's hard, It's hard on everyone in a family. I mean, I definitely still have family members that struggle to use my pronouns correctly, and I have some family members that are fantastic at it and some that are just taking a little bit longer to figure it out. But at the end of the day, if you love your family and if you respect them, then it'll all fall into place. And I have no malice towards anyone in my family who doesn't always use my pronouns correctly, but all I ask from everyone in my life is that you just try.
Yes.
I just want you to try. And if you can't do it, then you're not going to be a part of my life as much, because that means you can't see me as who I actually am. But thankfully with my family, everyone's been extremely supportive, and I couldn't ask for a better support system. So
I'm happy to hear that. And I'm sure that if there's someone a little bit behind, it's just a journey, because maybe they just mourn the girl that they knew, and they
I do too sometimes. It's a journey for everyone involved, and it doesn't have to be so isolating at all.
No, and it shouldn't be for anyone. And it can be journeys can be journeys, and especially because you come from a small town, Burlington, Ontario, so they didn't see many day. Even I come from Italy, and we didn't see many day either.
I honestly, I didn't meet anyone who used they them pronouns until I went to New York and met people at Pace who did. So it wasn't even something that I was really exposed to, and
Well, it's good that you were able to go through this journey amongst people who were actually prone to support you. So you didn't go through this journey alone during high school, where there were all the girly girls and you were there. So you didn't have a traumatic experience about it.
High school was fantastic.
Nice. Let's talk a little bit about it. So you're from Burlington, Ontario.
Yes.
I read on your website, they have a website, they have an Instagram, we'll post them somewhere. And age 2, you watch Singing in the Rain with your uncle or aunt.
My grandparents.
And
Yes.
at 2 years old, that's the determination they have inside. You're like, that's my job. And you communicated to them, so like you started lessons at 3 or 4?
Yeah, I did. I started, as most kids I knew growing up, our parents would just throw us into a bunch of different things and see what stuck. And so I did soccer, and I did the ice skating and all the things that go with it. But I really took to dance. And I think that was because my grandparents always had me watching the old Hollywood movie musicals, and particularly Make 'Em Laugh from Singin' in the Rain was that number. I couldn't stop watching it. I would sit there and belly laugh for the entire movie just thinking about it. And so I got into dance, and my dance studio at the time also had a community theater built into it. So I started doing just a couple little vocal lessons with the director of the community theater, Helen, and then I started doing shows with the community theater. And then when I left that studio, so did the Helen and her studio, her community theater group. And so they had a separate studio, and I went to a different dance studio, and I would go back and forth. And,
dance and theater.
Yeah, dance and theater. I would do both, yeah. And I really haven't done anything else with my life since I was 2 years old.
Dance-wise, so you did ballet.
I started with ballet and jazz. Ballet and jazz were the first two. Tap, I was a late tapper.
Okay.
And I'm not a good tapper, and that's why. Because I didn't start actually doing tap, I think, until I was like 8 or 9. But I started with the ballet and the jazz.
You're wonderful at those. And you have a facility. You have a facility. You have a beautiful facility.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And so you just did that for your life, no trauma, like everything was good.
I did the competitive
and you did them as a sheep.
Right, yeah.
As a sheep, up to 18 years old, 19,
totally.
when you went to Pace. Yeah. So no trauma, you were just going through it.
I was just doing the thing. I did competitive dance until I was 14, from like ages 5 to 14, I think. And then when I went to high school, I went to an arts high school in Etobicoke, closer to Toronto. So I would take the train in every day, and it was the only arts high school in
the whole country.
In the country that had a musical theater program. So I went for musical theater, and then I also double majored in the dance program, which was mainly focused on only ballet and modern. So I was getting my theater training, but I was also keeping up that technique and the foundation of my dancing. And yeah, I did show choir. I did our dance company at my high school, and
you did also choreography.
I did choreography.
There's a video on their website. There are videos of some of your creations, videos of singing, dancing, and some of them go back like this piece, Skin and Bones.
Yes.
I love it because they look like Madonna in that blonde ambition too. Talking about Madonna in My Dream. And it's beautiful choreography, and you look like a feather, like an angel. I don't know. It's a beautiful piece, very dramatic and interesting.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites that I've worked on. With Barny, shout out Barny.
The other dancer, just jump on your shoulder and go.
Yes.
And Barny, good job. Excellent job. So that was back in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And there's a video on your website where you play this song. There are worse things I can do. Song created for the musical film Grease, and Stockard Channing, the actress who plays Rizzo, the character of Rizzo, I think sang it for the first time. And there's a video on your website where you play that song. When was that from?
That would have been right before I graduated, actually. We had done our senior showcase where we present.
In high school?
No,
because I have a question. In university?
Yes.
Press against them when we dance, make them think they stand a chance, then refuse to see it through. That's a thing I'd never do. I could stay home wait around for Mr. Right. Take cold showers every day and throw my life away on a dream that won't come true.
Compare the two versions. And again, Stockard Channing nailed it. No questions about it. But your version has layers that the first time made me think about this song as a song I want to listen to when I walk on the beach. I also asked you when you perform it because you said that you lost your mom very early.
Yeah.
And I think maybe through that song I must have perceived layers of sadness or depth that in the performance of Rizzo you don't catch.
Right, yeah. I mean, my teachers from Pace, a lot of my acting teachers would say that like I had a very good understanding of my emotions, and it was easily accessible to me whenever I needed it to be. And that's because of the trauma that I've endured. I've lost a lot of people in my life.
Okay.
I mean, that's just what makes me who I am, makes me the performer I am. Every single night I do the show for my mom. I do the show for my teacher who I lost. Like, that's why I do what I do, because these people have pushed me along this journey so incredibly to a point where I can't give up, and I never want to. I never want to stop doing this, but I just feel the life of the people who brought me along this journey every single time I perform, and that's why it's like the emotional depth it's easier for me to come by, just because I've firsthand just seen so many things that a lot of people haven't, and it's hard to kind of get out of that traumatic space. But I've gotten to a point where I'm really good at being able to separate the trauma of it with just like being able to bring the emotion through my performance, so it doesn't hinder me in any sort of way. It's just I'm able to use those experiences for my life to make my performance feel more authentic.
And they definitely do.
Thank you.
Velma, this song, your creations as a choreographer, I studied it all for this interview. You really get to the heart.
Thank you.
And now talking to you, everything makes sense. Also, why you are so powerful, as I told you, to make me dream about my whole life. But I know why now, because you convey all these emotions and experience, and probably also your natural depth and talent, let's say, because probably it's also right there. And let me see what else I want to ask. Well, you went also, we are on a journey, right? From couch surfing to Hollywood Walk of Fame, although she's already on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and you might get a star at some point, yeah? We don't know, but you might. Yeah. You also have a star right here. You should have with a star right on.
That's for my
I can. And from your stardom, I can see you getting there. You also went to Italy with your girlfriend, I saw. How was Italy? How did Italy welcome you? An unusual couple?
Right.
How was
Well, that actually wasn't my girlfriend, but
okay.
a very, very close friend of mine. That's my bestie, who also
yeah.
uses they, them pronouns.
Okay.
Or they, she.
How were people receiving you?
Honestly, I didn't have any issues at the time.
Perfect.
I mean, I don't really walk up to people and just kind of say that I'm a non-binary.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, like, it was just beautiful.
Beautiful and nice and no problem. Yeah, I'm very proud of my Italian thing. Sometimes I'm scared because I grew up in a Catholic country where there was, again, he and she, and gay was condemned by the church. So that's my background. That's why I'm like, hey, are we evolving right there or not? We are. You had an amazing experience.
I did. It was
you
my
felt
first,
welcome and loved.
Yeah, it was my first time going to anywhere in Europe, and we went to Venice, and it was just absolutely stunning. That was one of my favorite trips I've ever been on.
I'm so happy to hear that. And back to Hollywood, in your plans, is there any ambition, Velma Kelly style, for movies?
Yes. I mean, I did a couple little TV shows back in Canada growing up, and just like little small roles here and there. I have an agency in Canada as well, that DaCosta, that I work with mainly through film and television, and then also the theater that comes through Canada, Mirvish and Stratford Festival and all
Shakespeare Festival, that one, right?
Yeah, Stratford Shakespeare Festival, yes.
I played Juliet last December. The small company, but that's why I know about that festival. Yeah.
I love Stratford. That's where my grandparents live, so I'm very partial to it. It's actually where my permanent address in Canada is right now, is in Stratford. But
so film.
Yeah.
Hollywood, what would you like to play?
I want to be in a Marvel movie more than anything.
Oh,
I want to be
really?
a Marvel superhero. I can do flips and I can do tricks, and I'm like, I just want to. I want to do stunts. I want to like feel like a superhero or a villain. I'm open.
Yes,
to being a villain
but
as
in
well.
that genre.
Yes, yeah, I'd love to do just something that's like high action and adventure, something like that. I'm also huge into horror. I would love to do a horror film, but I was told by one of my old headshot artists that I have a very like Nordic face, that I would be good for something like Game of Thrones or Vikings, stuff like that.
But you're so, I have to say though, because I saw you as Velma Kelly, you can be pretty much many characters. Because I want to make sure, because you have a look right now, but when you are Velma, you're completely different, and I can see
the
with
black bob.
We play probably some pictures. But you can be pretty much many characters.
Thank you.
But you do like that stuff. Well, I was asking also because I saw you wearing a t-shirt, Guns N' Roses t-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you like rock? Your website says you listen to rock.
All I listen to basically is classic rock.
Classic. So you like Guns N' Roses.
I love Guns N' Roses. Led Zeppelin's my top favorite. AC/DC's up there. Rush. I could name so many. I just love classic rock.
I would see you playing the lead in a biopic about Guns N' Roses, Axel. That's
Axl
when I saw that t-shirt.
Yes.
That's what I thought. I looked at your face and I was like, well, even because talking about Spectrum, Axel looked like a girl when he was young.
Very like, feminine features.
Super feminine and the same body structure, super thin. And
I think that's why I gravitate towards him too, because he's just so flamboyant and energetic with everything he does. Yeah.
Yes, and feminine and sensitive.
Yes.
And I was looking at that t-shirt and you were rehearsing with Kate, the actress who plays...
Katie, who's Roxy, yes.
Amazing Roxy. And I thought, maybe they can play Axl Rose in a biopic. That's
I would love to.
Or in
tell
the
me about
music.
that.
Yeah. Shout out to Axel.
Yes. So great.
Very, very good. So we are back to Hollywood with you playing Axel or a Marvel movie.
Yes.
Hopefully, Kailin Brown. Again, I saw you are already a star here in Hollywood. You came as a star because you came as a star. You are performing in 4 hours. She's gonna be on stage at the Pantages and take down the whole theater. I swear to you. I created a little game for La Dolce Vita for the newcomers to Hollywood. Okay,
Perfect.
not everybody comes here with your amount of talent because it's hard to have it. Okay, it's hard to have it, and your amount of training.
It's hard to get the training.
A lot of stories in Hollywood.
Yeah,
People
totally.
who became movie stars without any training at all. I think one of them is Johnny Depp or James Dean or many others. So some arriving with a lot of amount of training and talent. And we're all different, but anyways. And plus we live in the era of social media where you can become a superstar even by just doing nothing but filters.
Exactly.
So no talent, no training, no problem. You are welcome to Hollywood, whatever your ambition is.
Yes.
We welcome everybody. For the newcomer, whomever they are, 3 questions. The game is 3 steps to your star on the Boulevard. What would you recommend to any newcomer? One thing, main thing.
I was actually talking to some students about this at the stage door last night, that I honestly believe that, as cheesy as it sounds, just go in knowing that what you're about to present to anyone who's watching what you're doing, a casting director, an audition, or whatever it is, that you go in knowing that you're doing it well. That you don't go into anything feeling like you don't. You're not. Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to walk into a room with confidence, but using the nerves, because nerves are a good thing. Nerves mean that you care about what you're doing. Yes. And I think that that's something that I always reiterate for myself, is that if I'm nervous about to walk into a room, I just take a second to ground myself and center myself and know that that's because I care, I know what I'm doing, I've prepared, and I'm able to go in with that confidence. I think that's
confidence
in any situation.
Velma would agree.
Yes.
And then something that you should never do. Or maybe think, who knows?
I mean,
or maybe an attitude,
right.
A no.
I think this is a tale as old as time, and people are going to have opinions about this forever, but don't be mean to people.
Okay.
Every single person that you work with is going to be a part of your journey at some point. You could be in a class with somebody that you absolutely despise, and then they're going to be casting the movie that you're auditioning for.
Surprise.
And if you were mean to them, guess what? You're probably not going to go. It's true.
That's a good note.
It's all about connections. Like, as much as we don't really think about it on a day-to-day, every single person in this industry knows each other by 3 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
So you just be kind. Just come in with good, positive energy with everything you do, and you're not going to like everyone you work with.
Okay.
That's a given. You're not going to like everyone in the world. That's obvious. So don't be fake with anyone, but also don't try to.
Don't be mean. Just be kind.
Just be
and I know you're very kind. You're even
yeah.
vegan, right?
I am. Well,
yeah, I love animals.
Well,
I was too vegan before my diagnosis. Now I try to, but sometimes I was talking with our producer. Sometimes a little eggs mix in, a little bit of cheese mix. But you are vegan. You try mostly.
My girlfriend is gluten-free and vegan.
Okay.
And so what my general rule is that all the food in my house, with the exception of cheese products, are gluten-free and vegan.
Okay.
Also, so that when she comes over to mine, she has stuff to eat, and it's not just.
Yeah, we try to be kind at any level. Yeah. So with people, as much as we can.
Exactly.
We are humans.
I just don't try to police it. That's the biggest thing.
That leads us to the third step to your star on the Boulevard. What mistake you might do, or will you do, and then you have to just forgive yourself for doing it?
I mean, I make mistakes every single day.
Okay.
I'm no one's perfect, and those imperfections are what make you who you are, and honestly get you to the point where you do feel confident being in this industry. And it's hard, and I learn every single day. I mean, the majority of the cast is older than me, and
yes, they are.
And we're a young cast. Everyone's pretty young cast, but they have years on me in experience and just being a part of the industry. I learn from them every single day, just how you walk into a space holding yourself, and I'm so grateful for those moments. But I guess that if you do make those mistakes where you say the wrong thing to someone, or you get off on the wrong foot with an important person, it happens all the time. It
happens to you too,
right? You don't know who you're standing next to. I've said things that I'm like, oh God, I really shouldn't have said that, and then I find out that someone heard what I said, and I'm like, oh, I really shouldn't have said that. And honestly, it's not the end of the world, and I think that as long as you make up for it with action, not just words, and you prove to people that you are a good person and that you care about what you're doing, and that you just admit to the fact that you're a human being, you're going to make a mistake, you're going to say the wrong thing every once in a while. And
thank you for reassuring me, because I just, after that dream, after saying, I was like, they are perfect.
Nowhere near
I think people after watching you, just your entrance
Oh my god.
Like they think, oh, perfection right there. Like
it's so funny. Like,
perfection.
The castmates
even the
always,
perfect ones do mistakes.
No, it's true. It's that the castmates are always joke about it, that they're like, if they saw what our Velma Kelly did backstage, they'd be shocked. Because I'm a goof. I'm a nerd. I am not anything like Velma in real life. Yes, I have confidence in myself, but that also comes from learning from my experiences through life. But I am not a Velma in real life. I'm more of an Amos in real life. I would have to say. Poor Amos. Yeah. He's the best character though. Everyone loves him.
Very good. Well, this was our game, first time we played, because it's the first episode. Is there anything else that you would like to say about yourself that I didn't ask you, now that you're here in Hollywood and that's your chance?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, I think we covered so much. I mean, I really am like a small town girl from Burlington, Ontario that I worked hard. And that's what it's all about, is that leading your life with love and with grace and understanding for yourself and for other people. And like it's the hardest industry. It's so hard to be a performer, because you never know where your next meal's gonna come from. You never know where your next paycheck's gonna come from. Like it's scary, and I think that there will be moments in my career where I feel on top of the world like I do now, but there are also going to be moments
you are on top of the world,
where I'm going to hit rock bottom and nothing's going to come my way, and it really just is about everyone's individual journey with it. There's no one way to do what we do as actors, as dancers, as singers, whatever it is. Everyone's journey is completely unique to the individual, and that's what I love about it. And as long as like you just keep going in to rooms feeling confident about yourself and working hard and knowing that you have the worth and the talent to make it, then it's gonna happen.
I have the feeling that you won't stay on the bottom. I actually hope to see you again soon performing, also maybe in Broadway. That would be nice. I love New York. I miss New York. See you perform in a play or in a musical. I know you also perform in this company, Thistle Dance, Horror and Dance. There's a video on her website. It's not really horror. It's just very mysterious and different.
We have scared some people.
Oh, really?
I will say, but it is more so like
sensual,
the creepy kind of
creepy sensuality. Could I say that?
Definitely creepy sensuality.
Yeah, but not even too creepy. I didn't understand it was horror, right?
No,
when I read it, I understood it was just.
It's more more so about like the unknown and how can we make all of these everyday kind of creatures or like these horror icons like come to life in a different way. I love this.
More on the David Lynch meets non-binary maybe. Something like a Mulholland Drive, something like that. And then you choreograph this play at Fame. So I hope to see in Hollywood, in Broadway. I think you'll get a lot of jobs, because this musical, this first big job, it's just proving that you are really an A-lister, like one of the best performers for sure. So thank you so much for listening. I have something for you. I have this one, Guns and Roses. Our producer Paul. Hi Paul. Trying to thank you.
They're green. I didn't want them on the stage.
The microphone. Thank you, Paul. Here. Okay. So we have this one, Guns and Roses.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Guns and Roses t-shirt as a good luck charm. Okay.
Thank you so much. I love it. That's perfect.
And then, of course, I didn't have a chance. Sunday I was not ready because, as I said, I was counting to fall asleep during the performance of Chicago. It's nothing personal. It's just me, a Hollywood girl who goes to the theater, but then just goes out to go to dinner first, and then but I did not. So I was not ready to homage this incredible performance, Kailin Brown, for her Velma Kelly in Chicago. But Thank you so much. It was an unbelievable
Thank you
performance.
so
You are
much.
great.
I truly
And all the
appreciate it.
best
Thank you.
for you and for your journey.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you. And for you, if you like this Hollywood journey that we took together, please hit like and subscribe. And you can drop your comments, opinions, and critiques in the comments. And I hope to see you in the next Hollywood journey that we'll take with another artist here at LA Dolce Vita. Bye, ciao. Thank you so much, Kailin.
Pictures the stars paint for me are beckonings of what my